So, Juswant, both of us have built utility warehouse businesses with tens of thousands of customers between us. So, tell us, what practical strategies did you use consistently to get your business to that sort of level?
Uh, for me, it was understanding the fact that it wasn't just about me, okay, and about, oops, let me just sort that out. It was about the fact that I could only do so many hours in a day, okay?
Uh-huh.
And I knew from speaking to people that have been successful, the people who built big businesses with tens of thousands of group customers, by listening to them was actually understanding this business is about, I can do so much, but if I bring in a handful of other people, they can do a similar amount. If they bring in a handful of people, they can do, and it's the compound effect of having lots of people doing something.
Yeah.
Some people will do a lot, some people will do a little, but they're all contributing. And the more people you have out there doing something, the bigger your business will grow. And then that creates a momentum which will keep going. And the practical thing on a daily basis was actually understanding that I need to bring in new partners and teach them what it is that we do and enable them to teach others to do the same thing. So on a daily basis, that is what I do, and that's what I teach other people to do.
Okay. Yeah. And I know you've said in the past to me that there's one main number that you track, which is how many partners are there in the team, because everything else flows from that. You know, if you're just gathering customers, then the number of partners doesn't matter. But if you want to build a big group, then the number of partners in the team, obviously then teaching them to duplicate that on. But that first number, how many partners are there in the team? If you haven't got enough of those, you're not going to grow a big group.
I can tell my business, and it's, there are fluctuations in it, but when I look at the numbers, I can see based on the number of new partners that come in, the number of new group customers that come in over the next 2 to 3 months, based on the number of services they bring in, and we get paid on services. So I know by tracking that important number, it's going to grow the group numbers, which is going to grow the services. And, we obviously, the tools that the company have created are fantastic. The support we get is fantastic. But if you don't build that partner base, you're not going to build a group customer base, which is not going to grow the services base, which is what builds long-term financial security. And it's always, from my day one, it has been my obsession has been that number. And I know other people focus on the personal customer numbers, but I always focus on that number. We used to call it the PIGs, personal, independent partners, group numbers, and services. And I used to track that, and I still do. I track that number on a monthly basis and say, what's happening with those numbers? And is it moving in the right direction? And what do I need to do personally first in order to affect that number? And then who do I need to speak to that is working the business and growing the business and looking to get promoted to the next level? What are they doing to affect that number for themselves?
No, absolutely. And that sort of brings me on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is weekly, daily activities. And the most important one being that prospecting activity, personal prospecting activity, or you're helping your new recruits to recruit people and helping and supporting them to gather customers and bring in team members, because that is fundamentally the most important thing that we do week to week, is bring in new partners and help them to get started. In terms of other activity, obviously, attending events is critical, and we'll probably talk more about events during this Zoom. That's really, really critical. In terms of personal development, that's something that you definitely need to make time for. In terms of speaking to the team, that's probably after prospecting, I would say speaking to the team and helping them, like you were saying, is probably the second most important thing in our week, is to make sure that we're reaching out to everybody, not just WhatsApp all the time, but actually picking up the damn phone and having that conversation with people.
I think nothing will beat a phone conversation. I remember it's a constant source of frustration with me, because when we speak, we can understand what is going on, right? If you send me a WhatsApp message and I ask you a question, you send me a WhatsApp message, you have no idea what the response is. You have no idea whether I've actually, you can see I've read it, but did I take it in? Did it make sense? If we're speaking and I ask you a question and I say something, you go, did that make sense? And I'm like, well, no, actually not. Right.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, well, blah, blah, blah. But messages, we've done it, we've all done it. We've sent somebody a message and they've read it a completely different way to the meaning of the message that we sent. It's like this morning, I sent a message to a guy we were going to do a meeting one with, and I said, okay, we still okay for 10:30? And all I got back was, yeah. I'm like, what does that mean? But when we spoke at 10:30, he was really keen and enthusiastic and up for it.
Yeah.
But, it's just me at that point thinking, what does that mean?
Yeah. And we attach different meaning to it. So, you can still attach different meaning to a conversation, but you've got many more clues and much easier to get a better understanding if you can have that conversation. And these days, more and more, I don't know about you, but I tend to use a lot of video calls because if somebody's in an area where they can take a video call, then we can see each other's expressions, and as well as hearing the tone of voice and all those different things. Now,
absolutely.
Let's talk about the benefits of building a big group. Now, both of us have built up a passive income from UW. How's that made a difference to your life?
The main impact is when I first started UW, I worked out my financial freedom figure, which was how much was the mortgage a month, how much are the essential outgoings every month, and how much do I need to put the food on the table on the month. Right. And that's the main. I thought, well, the reason I'm doing all these 60, 70 hours a week and commuting and doing my IT role is because I need to have that minimum figure every month. Right. And then we have the extras on top. So we earn more than that. So we get it. But if that figure's coming in and it's coming in on the 21st of every month, as it does with UW, and it has done without fail for the last 17 years, and for some people, nearly 27 years, that makes you can make different choices because you're no longer under that pressure to keep a roof over your head, keep the lights on, and feed the family. And having that number coming in and more means that, let's go back to 2020, for instance, when everything was being locked down, when there was a huge amount of uncertainty about, will people keep their jobs? Will this be going on? Where will the money come from this? Sylvia and I had a conversation. I said, well, I'm going to get my residual income, right? And it's going to keep coming in. Because if people are locked into their homes and they can't do anything, they're still going to heat their homes, they're still going to put their lights on, they're still going to use the internet, they're still going to be doing their mobile phones, they're still going to be doing all the other stuff. They're going to pay UW at the end of the month, and we're going to get paid on the 21st of the following month. So having that income coming in and knowing it was there and having that certainty, it's a huge stress relief, right? Because you don't have to worry about that. And I didn't have to worry about, would I be able to go out and do appointments to go and get, would I be able to go and sign new partners? I thought, okay, we've got this, I've got time, and we can work out what we need to do next. And it was having that space.
I think that for me is the biggest thing, is the time freedom. I've said this a few times on various different events and online. They can keep paying me the money, but it's what the money coming in every month does for you in terms of freeing you up from the stress, but also giving you that time freedom. So one of our calls a couple of months ago, you couldn't make because you decided at the last minute to go off on holiday, and nobody to ask to be accountable for that. You just went off and you were able to be on holiday. For me, it means I'm dad's taxi as often as I want to be, because I'm running around with the kids with their football clubs and their school things and all the other things, and I'm able to do those things and just set aside that time and enjoy the hot tub and stuff like that. But nobody needs to have that image in their mind at this time of day, do they, really? Yeah.
But remember also, during lockdown, you made a personal choice regardless of where you get your information from, right? Because there was a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of media stuff going on, and you realized something was affecting you here, and you decided to switch it off, right?
Yeah.
It took me 3 days to realize that they've announced a general election. I didn't have a clue.
It's only because I saw a meme somewhere that was telling me that that's what's happened. So yeah, it's not focusing on the news, and I still found myself slipping back into it at times, and then you have to catch yourself and go, this is not actually serving influence. A lot of the stuff that is coming through that screen or through the browser or whatever it might be, I can't influence that stuff. And funny enough, Pip Taylor, that stuff is a distraction. It doesn't help you. And I went, oh yeah, I've got distracted again with sort of looking at stuff that I shouldn't be looking at. So yeah, that absolutely, that making sure I'm getting plenty of personal development, making sure I'm not taking in the news constantly. And yeah, I dip in usually once every couple of days or whatever and see what's going on. But people tell you if there's anything major going on in the world.
It's interesting because one of the things about being involved in this business and having the residual income coming in every single month is we can focus on the things we can control. And there's a lot of stuff that we can't control, right? Millions of things. And I used to waste a lot of energy focusing on the things I can't control, right? And I've realized that doesn't serve me. But what can I do on a daily basis? What can I do? What can I control? What personal responsibility can I take for me in my UW business and the other stuff that's going on around me? And then there's the uncertainty of what could happen in the future. I can't control that, right? But what I can control is if you want to build this business and you want to build a business, people may sit there thinking, I wish I was like you. And I've had people say that to me. I've heard people say it to you. I wish I had the group numbers you had. I wish I had this that you had. I wish I had the numbers that Steve Critchley had. I wish I had the numbers that Jimmy and Nikki Chapman had. And I say to them, are you willing to do what those guys did to achieve the success that they did? Are you willing to put aside certain things and make sacrifices now in order to have the life you want in the future? Are you willing to go to the events? Number one. Are you willing to give up time? Are you willing to give up a hobby maybe so that you can build up the business? Are you willing to commit on a daily basis to do something? And people talk about this phrase, touch your business on a daily basis. Are you willing to do something on a daily basis that it's either going to put a customer or partner or a future appointment in the diary on a daily basis, right? If you do that on a daily basis, your business will grow, right? And I look at the numbers of the people, and you can see them. Anybody in this business can see it. If you look at your business and then you see who's the top customer gatherer, who's the top recruiter, who's the top supporter, right? You can see them. And if you ask them, what are they doing? They are doing something to either sign a partner, sign a customer, do a supported appointment, or put a future appointment in the diary on a daily. But that's what they think about on a daily basis. One of those things. Can I do one of those things today? And how can I do one of those things today?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you can have those conversations with people and they say, yes, I'm prepared to do that. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating, isn't it? In terms of whether or not people actually do it. And that is the real difference. And actually, you make it sound quite hard, but when you get disciplined to just do it, it's not actually that hard. It's just about doing it consistently and having that focus. And, even if you've got a busy job and you're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you can still find it. I interviewed Michael Parnis not that long ago. He was doing, I think it was 126 hours a week when he joined, but he didn't want to be doing 126 hours a week. I think he worked 100 days straight, so he didn't have a break for 100 days. He didn't want to be doing that. So he made the time to consistently go out there and get the appointments in the diary, sign up customers, sign up partners, support the partners when he brought them on board. He's done that, and now he's working something like 6 or 7 hours a week. It might be 12, I think, but it's literally that's what's changed in his life because he was prepared to make that sacrifice consistently. So, talking of people in the business, tell us about maybe a success story from somebody that you've mentored within UW, who's gone on to build a sort of significant business. Who would you like to sort of pick out from there?
I mean, there's a number of people that And this is the interesting thing. I have the same conversation with the different partners from different reasons. I have the same conversation with them, and I give them basically the same advice, right?
Mm.
And it's interesting because when I joined in 2007, up to probably 2008, 9, I felt like I was dragging this business along. There were people there. There were people who were doing sign up customers, bringing in partners, doing the things that they needed to do. But it seemed like, I think it was 2008 or 2000. I think it's probably 2009. Three different people joined. Three different people joined the business that rang me more than I rang them.
Mm.
Right, and they weren't introduced by myself. Right, they were introduced by someone else. And I did the welcome message or welcome call to them, said, hello, I'm Juswant, welcome to UW. If you ever have any questions, let me know. Right. How long did that take? Right. And I just that, no more. And then because those people had more ambition than the person that brought them in, they called me back, said, look, I really want to do this business. I was introduced by so-and-so. They seem to be taking it at a slow pace. I really want to grow my business, right?
Yeah.
And Alex was one of those, David and Jackie, and Richard was one of those. And is actually talking to them on a regular basis and speaking to them about, okay, what do you want from this business? Why do you want to do it? And then learning from John, who mentored me, was, okay, we need to communicate on a regular basis. We need to speak on a regular basis, right? And that could be weekly, could be daily, and when, we were growing our business, we were speaking on a daily basis and speaking on a regular basis. When Alex was really growing his business and hitting numbers and getting his business moving and motoring, and David and Jackie, and we spoke on a regular basis. And most of our conversations were about how to bring in new partners and personal development. What's going on up here?
Yeah.
How am I going to make this work for my benefit? And how can I bring in more partners and get them going?
And I have to say, there's lots of good stuff out there for people that have got customer questions. There's support from head office. There's information on the website. There's loads of other information there. I rarely have conversations with people about how to sort a customer issue out, unless they need to escalate a particular question to me because they've tried the regular routes. But as you say, our job is to help them to get their mind in the right place so that they can build a big organization, or they can be successful at whatever they want to do. If they want to gather customers, that's fine. We can help them with the mindset for that. So
absolutely,
thinking about sort of existing partners who are looking to scale up their business, let's come up with 3 practical tips that we can recommend to them to help them to grow their UW businesses. What would your first tip be for somebody that wants to they're already involved, they want to scale it up?
If they want to scale it up, I'd say if they haven't already done it, they don't know why. Right? So practical step 1 is, what is your financial freedom figure? Right? What do you need every month to pay your mortgage, your rent, your bills, your outgoings, and that? So you've got a number to aim for. And I don't think a lot of, I did a talk at a Buzz and I asked people in the room, what's your financial freedom figure? None of them had it written down. I said, so you've not got a target to aim for. Okay. And then whatever figure they've got, the best way they are going to get there is most likely by building a senior group leader business with a certain number of group customers.
Yeah.
Right. But that's worked out based on what their financial freedom figure number is, right? So it says now you've got a target and you've got a number you're aiming for. We can practically work backwards on what you need to get there. But the number one thing is, why do you want it?
Yeah. Well, if they don't understand why and they don't have that goal to focus on, then the first obstacle that comes along is going to knock them off course, because there's going to be some frustration and some challenges through this process. In fact, Stefan Longworth often says that's what we get paid for, frustration and challenges, and if you can't go through those, then you won't get where you want to get. And that really compelling reason why. And I think a really compelling reason is important, because sometimes people go, well, it'd be nice if I didn't have to work on Saturdays. It'd be nice if I didn't. If you haven't already read it or listened to it, I'd say people should listen to that Alan P's questions are the answers thing, because it's good for prospecting, it's good for working with their team. But actually, I had somebody do that to me fairly recently and work through, and I realized partway through the conversation that's what they were doing, was they were actually using that technique, and it builds up what you really want, and it builds up the pain of what if you don't get it. And then between those two things, you then go, right, okay, I really, really do want this thing, and I really, really don't want that pain. So this is my solution. And actually, if you can either work through that yourself, or find whoever your senior group leader is, or national network leader, or national group leader, find the person that will actually spend the time to work through with you, helping you to find that reason why. Because it's got to be something, I mean, it doesn't have to make you cry, but that's the expression is there because it's, you know, why that makes you cry is because it's so powerful that you really, really want to make sure that you achieve it. So yeah, definitely with that. For me, I would say actually that connection, you mentioned it before, like, so when we first joined, it was the blind leading the blind. You know, you joined a few weeks after I did, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just blindly going out there doing what they told me. So you plugged in to the guy who recruited me, John. And I would say that's my next tip for people is find your mentor. It doesn't have to be someone whose team you're part of. If there's nobody there that's that active, go crossline. You know, find somebody that has done this. Not somebody that wants to get there, but somebody that has done this, that has built the business that you want to build, that you like their style, you like the way that they operate, you know, you feel like I'd be happy if I did it that way, and then plug into that person and actually pick their brains, ask them, see what they do on a day-to-day basis, or see what they did on a day-to-day basis, depending on where they are. Because I think there's nothing better than modeling success, particularly in this business.
Absolutely. And one thing you will realize, depending on the size of your ambition, you may outgrow your mentor.
Yeah.
You may need a mentor to get, when you get to a certain point, you may actually realize, not that there's anything, the mentor's been great up to that point, but you may think, actually, I need someone who's going to, you need a different level, different challenge. And one of the things is, I've noticed I've had conversations constantly with yourself, but then there's also been other people that I've spoken to that's helped me with certain things. Not that anything wrong with the conversations we have, it's just that I need a slightly different perspective, you know. And then you speak to someone who's a national, who's built, you know, you speak to Steve Critchley, 5-star NNL, speak to Jimmy and Nikki, 1-star NNLs, you know, you speak to them and you get a different perspective, and you think about, actually, yeah, they're at the top of the mountain, but then there's another top of the mountain, there's another top of the, and there's always more. But it's always important to understand. But one thing is, when you speak to a mentor, be willing to do what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing with John was,
say again.
One thing with John was, I was always willing to follow his advice.
Yeah. I went to head office for an event earlier this week, and there was a guy there. He's in Ramdat's team, and he's just joined, and he went QD star in 8 days. And this guy was a sponge, and he basically, whatever Ram said, he said, I'm doing it. You know, Ram's successful. He's a senior group leader. He's like accelerated from, after having a long period of doing nothing because he was busy on his other business, is accelerated from team leader to SGL in sort of, you know, really, really fast time. He knows, this guy knows what he's talking about. And he just literally said, I've plugged into him. I'm hanging onto his coattails. He's, you know, he's offering me the support. I'm doing what he's telling me.
It is. It's fascinating, because I remember John said to me, how many people have you spoken to in the last week? And I went, oh yeah, I spoke to X, Y, and Z. He goes, how many people did you show? I went, no, I've spoken to X, Y. He said, okay, right. Next week, I want you, when you phone me up, to tell me how many people you've shown, not spoken to.
Yeah.
Right. And then I went, okay. And I didn't understand the significance of that conversation until I showed one person in the week between me and him speaking again, and they signed up. And I went, oh, it's that simple. Stop
Yeah,
talking, start showing.
it's the whole I'm working on a prospect thing. You know,
Yeah.
there's the visions of like a torchlight shining in their eyes or something, and you know, just trying to sort of beat them into submission to actually take a look. You just need to have that conversation where you say, look, I've got something I want to show you. How soon can we get together? How soon can we jump on a computer together? So
How soon is a magic phrase.
well, it is, because it focuses the mind, doesn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, how soon can I make time for this? If you ask them when, then they think of the obstacles. How soon really does focus the mind. So talking about tips, we've spoken about people that are existing partners, and some of this will be true for people that are not partners as well yet. So what would be our advice for someone who's considering joining UW? Maybe they've been shared this by somebody who's watched it as a UW partner, or maybe we've sent it to one of our friends that's interested in looking. If they want to get started for their first steps to begin a successful business.
First step is filling the application link, obviously,
Right.
because once you become a partner, but it can sound obvious, but commit. Just say, right, I'm going to give this a go. Okay, because I remember when we spoke all those years ago, I had to fill out that. That's a first step. And then what you got to do is you just got to arrange a time with the person who's introduced you, and they will give you a step-by-step, paint by numbers blueprint of how to get started in UW and how to start earning really quickly, if that's what you want, right? And they will tell you certain things that to do or ask you to do certain things because they work and they've been proven to be successful over and over and over again. And it's simple. If you want a simple system that enables you to start earning some money right now, if that's what you need, if you need something that's going to build you long-term financial security, it starts with the first step. The first simple step is fill in the application, get together with the person who's either sent you this video or introduced you to UW, and say, right, what do I need to do next? What are the first steps? And then follow those steps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would that meeting, do it there and then. If not, get it done in the first 24 hours or so. That meeting will be critical for you. And in terms of action steps, the most important thing will be getting some appointments in the diary or arranging to see some people so that you and your mentor can actually show people what it is that we do. As you were saying quite rightly a minute ago, that's key for any partner, is to show people. But for a brand new person, you want to get out there, you want to show people and actually get some money in the bank. So get some sign-ups done so that you can see this works. And another good reason for doing that is if you've gone out there and earned some money. So if you can get to the most important first step is getting to something we call QD Star. Your mentor will show you what that is, but it's half a dozen people come in on as customers, the customer. Now, when we do that quickly, now you've got 30 days. I wouldn't take 30 days to do it. When you do that within 7 days and really, really get some momentum, that is a story. So that guy that I mentioned earlier, he's got a great story now, so that when he goes out and talks to people, he can say to them, look, I earned £2,000 in my first 8 days. That then becomes very, very inspirational, because the people go, oh, okay, so it's like the 4-minute mile. He's done it, so it must be possible. Therefore, I'm going to do it. So you're making your life so much easier by getting started quickly.
Absolutely. And if you follow the steps that they tell you, like get half a dozen appointments in the diary, you will get supported through those. So you're not just thrown in at the deep end. You will get results. It's like I helped a lady this week speak to 2 people. And at the end of the second one, she basically said, is that all you do? It's like, she was expecting me to be saying lots. And I said, we have the tools. The tools show them what UW is about, and it shows them what they can do. And I said, you do not need to be an expert.
Absolutely. So we are, obviously, there are 2 audiences watching this. We've got existing UW partners who will be catching up and getting tips. We might have some people who are watching this for the first time, or they're looking at UW for the first time. So if they've been inspired by our discussion today and they're not already partners, what should they do right now?
So if they're not already a partner,
yes,
go back to the person that shared this video with you. Ask them any questions that they got, sorry, that you've got, and get started. It's a very simple process. It takes 2 minutes to apply. And have a look at what this business can really do. Because right now you're thinking about all these different things, but you will see on a practical basis. And if you follow what they say, you can earn 500, 1,000, even £2,000 very, very quickly. And what difference would that make to you right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like the car learning to drive thing, isn't it? You can't learn to drive by reading about it and researching. You need to understand some very basic principles and then get in the car and start driving with somebody sat next to you that's going to guide you and show you how to propel it in the direction that you want to go. And before you know it, you'll be driving down the road at 65, 70 miles an hour, a legal speed limit, with nobody next to you, listening to the radio with the wind in your hair. So,
well, not us two anyway.
Obviously not. Thanks very much, Juswant. That's been really, really useful today. I hope people found it valuable. I'm sure they're going to tell us in the comments, and I'll speak to you